Success doesn't start with a plan, and not even with action. It starts with the people sitting at your table. Look around. Who are those 5 you spend the most time with? Do they lift you up or quietly drag you down? Today I'll tell you how to change your circle and change your destiny. And at the end, there will be a practical plan. They say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. But I've always gone further. Show me who you have breakfast with, who you open your heart to on hard days, who you sit silently with in a room, and I'll tell you who you'll become. It sounds simple, almost ordinary, but it's one of life's most dangerous traps. We get so used to certain faces around us that we stop noticing their influence. And it's deeper than any book, stronger than a motivational speech, more enduring than willpower. Your inner circle isn't just friends. They are the architects of your consciousness. If the people around you devalue your ideas, mock your dreams, or simply strive for nothing, you'll start living like everyone else too. Not because you're weak, but because the power of environment can override even the best intentions. I've lived through this myself. There was a time when my circle was limiting my growth and I didn't even see it. Only a meeting with Earl Shoaff showed me how much depends on whose eyes you shape your self-image in. So today we're not just talking about people, we're talking about your personal filter, about how to choose those who don't just stay close but lift you higher. And at the end I'll give you 3 practical steps to build your new support circle. I learned one simple thing. If you want to change your life, change the room you're sitting in. It's not always easier. Often it's very painful, but always it's necessary. When I was 25, I wasn't just broke. I was surrounded by bankrupt minds, people who spent every day looking for someone to blame. I listened to them and agreed. They said life was unfair, and I nodded. They despised the rich, and I started to fear them. They laughed at those who read books, and I began hiding mine under the bed. This went on until one day I saw a man walk into the room, and everyone stood up. Not because of his title, not because of power, because of presence. That man would become my future mentor, Earl Shoaff. And he told me something I would later repeat thousands of times to others. If you don't want to end up like these people, don't spend most of your time with them. Let me ask you, who is sitting in your inner circle today? Not officially, but truly. Who has access to your doubts, your future plans, your evenings when you're tired and vulnerable? Because those are the moments when your trajectory is shaped. And if the people near you always say, be careful, don't stick out, just live like everyone else, where do you think that will lead? There's an old rule. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your 5 are lazy, cynical, ungrateful, guess what you'll be like in a year? This isn't philosophy, it's math. But here's the good news. You get to choose. We don't choose everything in life, but we do choose our environment. And every new connection, every no to a toxic relationship, every yes to a strong person is a brick in the foundation of your future. When I first heard this idea, it struck me not as advice, but as a revelation, because I realized that my environment was a reflection of my standards. And if I allowed people around me who drained my energy, then deep down, I must have believed I didn't deserve better. And that hurts, because changing your circle isn't just about new people, it's about a new version of you, stronger, more selective, more responsible. I remember a young man I once advised. He was talented, ambitious, had great ideas, but every time something didn't work out, he turned to his friends, and they just added fuel to his frustration. It's the system's fault, they said. Success is for the chosen few. And every time he returned from them, he felt even more discouraged. I asked him, you go to them for support, but do you really get it? He went silent. Then he changed everything, a new environment, a new pace, and in 6 months, new results. Why does it work? Because energy is contagious. If every day you're around people who expand your thinking, who set big goals, who don't allow themselves to be mediocre, you simply can't stay the same. They don't let you fall into comfortable failure. Their presence is a constant reminder. You're capable of more. But here's the key. It's not about finding perfect people. It's about finding people who grow honestly, who struggle, fall, get back up, and don't lose faith. Because next to them, you learn not only how to win, but how to face failure with dignity. And that too is part of success. So look at your circle as a mirror. If it reflects weakness, fear, disdain, don't break the mirror. Become the one who starts the change. Because once you change, the circle changes. And in time, only those who are ready to climb higher with you will remain. But that's not all. One day I heard from a mentor, life is too short to spend it on people who don't believe in you, even when you don't yet believe in yourself. And I began to reflect, who were the ones who believed in me when I was just a farm boy from Idaho, with no money, no experience, only an inner unrest whispering, there must be something more. They didn't appear on their own. I looked for them. I learned how to enter circles that at first seemed out of reach. And most importantly, I learned to become the kind of person others wanted to be around. Here's a truth that rarely gets spoken aloud. If you want to surround yourself with strong, deep, radiant people, you have to start changing yourself. Because like attracts like. Leaders seek leaders. Thinkers are drawn to thinkers. People who are moving forward don't have time to listen to the complaints of those who consciously choose to stand still. And if you want to elevate your circle, start by elevating yourself. I remember having to end a relationship with a childhood friend. We had been through a lot together, but over time our paths diverged. I wanted to build a business, help people, grow as a person. He wanted to talk about the latest shows and complain about the government. Every time I tried to share an idea, he laughed. What, you think you're going to be a millionaire with your background? One day I asked myself, why am I letting him devalue my dreams? The answer was painful, because I didn't fully believe in myself yet, and that was the turning point. Choosing your circle requires courage. Sometimes that means saying no to someone who's been around for years. Sometimes it means giving up the comfort of familiar faces for the challenge of new ones. But true growth always starts with discomfort. I realize that every person in my life either fills me or drains me, and that doesn't mean anyone is bad. It just means not everyone is meant to be in every chapter of your story. Some people are just for the prologue. Your mission is not to keep them in the ending. And here's what's fascinating. As soon as you start changing your inner state, your outer world begins to shift. New people appear, those you once thought were too smart or too far ahead, and suddenly you're speaking the same language, because the language of inner strength is universal. I remember sitting at a table with successful business people for the first time. I stayed silent. I had nothing to boast about. But I listened, and I learned. I didn't try to pretend to be someone else. I worked to become someone new, someone real. Once I said, don't try to impress successful people, impress yourself by working on yourself so deeply that they'll want to be around you, because you can't fake depth. And strong people can feel it. They're not looking for flash, they're looking for authenticity. Not for show, but for real movement. And now we come to a crucial question. What if right now you don't have that kind of circle? What if everyone around you is skeptical, lazy, disappointed? The answer is simple, though not easy. Become your own first circle. Start speaking to yourself the way you wish others would. Start reading the books your ideal friends would read. Listen to voices that inspire. And those people will appear first through texts, audio, videos, then in your life, because you'll start vibrating on a different frequency, and the world will respond. A friend of mine began this transformation in a simple way. He wrote down 5 names, 5 people he respected. Not people he knew personally, just those whose way of thinking resonated with him. Every day he asked himself, what would X do in my place? How would Y think? That became his inner circle, while the outer one was still forming. Within a year, he had met 3 of them. Through events, mutual connections, what seemed like amazing coincidences, but I know that's not coincidence. That's the pattern of inner transformation. Remember, your inner circle is not about quantity. It's not about dozens of online acquaintances. It's about the few whose presence transforms your thinking. Sometimes one person is enough to flip everything inside you, to let you see yourself not in the mirror of fear, but in the eyes of potential. And it's important to note your circle isn't only those you physically see, it's those you give influence to. If you listen to toxic news every day, read destructive comments, let voices of doubt into your mind, they're in your circle too. So protect your mind, because it's the living room of your life. But that's still not all. Remember the phrase, tell me who your friend is and I'll tell you who you are? I always added, tell me who listens to you in your weakest moments and I'll tell you what your life will look like. Because it's in moments of doubt that we are most vulnerable to influence. And in those moments, your circle will either lift you up or gently pull you back without even realizing it. This isn't drama, it's simple reality. I learned a powerful lesson. Your inner circle doesn't form by accident. It's shaped step by step, just like a body is shaped in the gym, through choices, through pain, through giving up what's comfortable, but also through the joy of discovering what's real. When you first meet someone with whom you can talk about ideas, not about other people. When you feel your mind bloom in someone's presence. It's like a breath of fresh air after being in a windowless room for too long. One day I asked myself, why do some people awaken dreams in me and others a sense of burden? The answer was obvious, because some live with open souls and others with constant doubt. And here's the key, you are not obligated to stay close to those who always choose doubt, because that's a choice. And your choice is to build a space around yourself that inspires, that awakens. I've said it again and again. Environment shapes behavior, and behavior shapes results. If you're surrounded by people who act, grow, and fight every day, you'll start doing the same, because it becomes the norm. A high standard is contagious, just like a low one. Think back. When was the last time you were in a circle where everyone had their own dream, where no one complained about life, only shared plans and next steps? I remember my first business meeting where no one talked about problems, only about ideas. And I stayed silent, but I drank that silence like water, because I needed more of those voices in my head. I understood, even silent presence in a strong environment is therapy. It's already transformation. And here's something I noticed. You start speaking the language of the people you spend time with. Their jokes become yours, their tone yours, their habits slowly but surely seep into your body. And it's not a question of whether they're good or bad. The real question is, are they leading you where you truly want to go? I've shared this with many students and young entrepreneurs. If your environment doesn't allow you to grow, change it, even if it means being alone for a while. Yes, sometimes the path upward begins in silence, but that silence is sacred because it creates room for new voices, for deeper conversations, for a different kind of music in your soul. And one more important nuance, your circle isn't just about who's around you, it's also about who you are to them. I always ask myself, am I someone who lifts others? Am I a source of inspiration or just another weight? Because an inner circle is not about consumption, it's about mutual enrichment. And if you want a strong circle, be strong for others. It's a law. Those who give light never remain in the dark. I once knew someone very wealthy, but incredibly lonely. He asked me, why do I have everything but no one to truly talk to? I didn't give him cliches. I simply said, are you creating a space where people want to be real? Because a true circle isn't just about financial status, it's about depth, about trust, about the desire to grow together, not compare. So here's the most important thing. Cultivate your circle like a garden, nurture it, water it, trim the dead branches, remove the weeds, and every time someone enters your life whose presence elevates your thinking, protect that. It's a treasure, it's rare, and it shapes you more than you know. Before we dive into the practical part, allow me to ask you one more question. It sounds simple, but answering it honestly, not everyone can do that. Ready? When was the last time you consciously chose who to let into your inner circle? Because if we don't make that decision consciously, habit makes it for us. And habit doesn't always know where we're supposed to go. Now the most exciting part is ahead, ready to step into the practical phase where we'll take a look at your circle and begin the first steps toward a new future. So now the moment for action has come, because knowledge alone is not transformation. Transformation begins when you start asking yourself uncomfortable questions, but not to assign blame, to see, to become aware, and to choose a new direction. I want you to assess your current circle, not the one on social media, not the one that sounds good, the one you actually live with, talk to, share your dreams and doubts with. I'll guide you using 5 questions. Just reflect on them on the go. From 1 to 10, where 1 means not at all, and 10 means completely yes. Answer honestly for yourself. You're not taking a test. You're reading the map of your future. First question, are the people around me inspiring me to become better, or do they hold me back when I try to grow? Think, are those beside you seeing your dreams as opportunities, not as threats? If yes, it's a blessing. If not, it's a signal. Rate it. Second, how much does my inner dialogue reflect the language of my circle? Do you sometimes hear not your own voice in your head, but the words of those who never believed in you? Because that's dangerous. We become who we listen to sometimes for years. Reflect and ask, whose opinion echoes in your mind most often? Third question, how many in my close circle hold higher standards than I do? These are the people who pull you upward. They don't let you settle for average. They remind you that you're capable of more. If you don't have such people, it's time to find them. Be honest in your rating. Fourth, am I a source of inspiration for my circle? This is a crucial shift in focus, because you're not just a learner, you're an example too. Are you adding energy to others, or are you perhaps sometimes a source of doubt and skepticism yourself? This is a mirror question. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but it's real. And fifth, how consciously do I choose who has influence in my life? Because if you don't choose, randomness does. And randomness rarely leads you where you truly want to go. Rate your level of control. Are you the host of your space or a guest in someone else's room? Feel these questions, don't rush the answers. And if it was hard to rate anything above a 4 or 5, it's not a sentence, it's an opportunity. It's a map saying, here's where the work is, and also where the potential lies. After this video, I encourage you to return to these 5 points. Sit in silence, write down your answers, don't edit them, just be honest. Because that honesty is the first step to new people in your life, and new people mean a new future. And yes, if this video was helpful for you, hit like, share it with a friend, or leave a comment. I'm rethinking my circle. These aren't just words. This is an intention, and intentions change everything. You know, everything we talked about today, it's not theory. It's a path I've walked myself, more than once. Because your inner circle isn't a one-time choice. It's an ongoing process. Life changes, we change. And each time we need to reassess who's around us, who inspires, who lifts, and who quietly holds us back even if they call it care. I want you to remember one thing. You are not obligated to let someone stay in your life just because they've been there before. The past is not a ticket to your future. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is thank someone for walking a stretch of the road with you and keep moving forward. Your life is a garden, and it's your duty to protect its soil. Pull out the weeds, water what's good, and create conditions where strength can grow. Because if you don't do it, someone else will plant their seeds and you won't even notice how you end up lost in the underbrush of someone else's doubts. What I want you to take from this video today isn't just an idea, it's a challenge. A gentle yet firm challenge. Look at your contacts. Look at the people you allow into your conversations, into your thoughts. And ask, is this my future? Because you deserve a circle that not only supports you but expands you. Not only listens but believes. Not only stands beside you, but pulls you higher from ahead. As I once heard and have repeated many times, become the kind of person you wish you had as a mentor. Then watch how those with fire in their hearts begin to appear around you. Because fire finds fire. And remember, you are not a victim of your circle. You are its creator. See you in the next video, and may your new circle be not just strong, but magnificent.